Eskom says it's confident we will experience lower levels of load shedding by the end of the year and into the beginning of next year. It's given a state of the system and summer outlook briefing at Megawatt Park. Our business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo standing by now. Ntokozo, good afternoon to you. Are we going to enjoy a summer with the lights on this time around?
Good afternoon, Stephen. That's certainly the hope, and I'm now considering actually hosting some of the kids in the family over the holidays. Eskom saying that we could see load shedding maintained at stage 4. That's only if, though, it manages its unplanned losses that it experiences, and of course that's on the back of it giving that update on what winter looked like, a lot better than what was expected according to the utility, and of course are seeing those improvements or expected improvements over the summer period. But let's take a look at what the utility had to say on some of the work that it's been doing over the period to prepare for less load shedding over the summer period.
I think since we were here during the winter period, I'm very pleased to see we have seen great progress, especially starting with Duva. Duva throughout this winter, I think Lawrence and the colleagues at Duva, they've done exceptionally well. We are seeing stability of Duva. The Duva that we had a year ago that was tripping every day, it's staying on load now. And that's what is creating some stability and giving us levels of confidence that as we move forward, we can build from what they have achieved there. So is Majuba. And then the latest on the block now was Tutuga. Tutuga, you will recall that it was the worst plant in generation a year ago, even up to almost 6 months ago. So we have indicated in May when we met here that we have introduced new leadership there under the leadership of Bruce.
And of course, Stephen, some of the other key focus areas around the systems updates as well as the summer outlook was ensuring that we actually do diversify that energy mix and get that pressure off the grid to ensure that that load shedding is, lower stages are sustained for longer to the point where we have no load shedding. And the theme for the day for me has really been around localization and the opportunities to have local manufacturers get into the transmission and distribution network, which many industry experts have really dubbed as having the ability and potential to fast track us getting rid of load shedding a little bit faster. Let's hear what the utility is saying in terms of the progress that is being made there when it comes to getting more local manufacturers on board to fast track the work that it's doing around ensuring that it has enough generation capacity as well as distribution.
What the 10-year transmission development plan indicates is a requirement to invest in excess of 210 billion rands over a 10-year period, which is clearly a significant amount of money. What we are doing is addressing this at different levels. So as we speak, for the 5-year corporate plan of Eskom, we have 80% of the capital requirements approved in that plan. And for the next 3 years, we have funded all the requirements for this period. So the exercise around investment in the grid is really thinking medium to long term to say how do we make sure that we'll have adequate resources to invest in the grid, to expand it in particular to reach into the Northern Cape, Eastern Cape and the Western Cape, where we have a lot of potential for renewables.
And of course, Stephen, one of the other areas that we really wanted to get some insights from the utility is around the leadership hole that has been left after Andre Doreta, of course, did step down earlier this year. And in May, we did hear that, the 5 shortlist that we did have out of the utility, and the acting CEO, Calib Cassim, obviously saying that that issue is with the board and they are making that decision, and South Africans should be informed soon on where we stand when it comes to that. And he actually is with me now just to give us an overview of what came out of the briefing. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a quick bird's eye view of how we performed over winter, much better than what was expected, and what the summer outlook is looking like when it comes to just the system and issues around load shedding.
Thanks a lot, and good afternoon to your audience. Yes, as we've highlighted today, that in terms of the outlook and how we performed, much better than expected. Yes, we do apologize to the citizens of the country, especially when we experience 39 days of stage 6 load shedding. We know how devastating that is. But that has also allowed us to be much more confident in terms of the summer outlook. We have presented 3 scenarios in terms of unplanned outages at a 14,500, which is the base case, which as a management team we are striving to achieve. That will then ultimately result in a maximum stage 4 load shedding, especially during evening peaks. We would then look for the stages to be much lower in morning peaks. And like we've experienced on certain days during the winter period, during office hours, we'd want to stop load shedding and only deal with it during peaks. Yes, if the unplanned outages then drops to higher levels, on a worst case, we had 17,500. That would equate to maximum of stage 6 load shedding. But we are confident that with the Kusile units coming back to 3 from the temporary stacks, as well as Unit 5, and we've also seen better performance from certain stations like Tutuka that's producing at 4 units. There are some power stations that we need to address in terms of performance and reliability. We're working with the generation leadership and all the power station managers. I think as a positive, on the 23rd of September, we've touched less than 12,500 unplanned outages. We haven't been there for a long time. So that then gives us confidence that it can be done. We just need to support them, and obviously supported through government, the board as well.
And now, the summer outlook obviously being affected by some unplanned circumstances or scenarios, such as what, we've seen, as mentioned earlier, in Cape Town. How do we then work around that? Because that summer outlook is going on all the way to next year.
Yes. I think, firstly, we need to work in conjunction with Cape Town and their municipalities to restore supply as quick as possible. Those that are in the Eskom areas as well as the metros, and work hand in hand for the benefit of the citizens of the country. I think beyond that, let's focus on our performance in terms of generation, and then as per the energy action plan, connect more megawatts to the grid as quick as possible, and obviously addressing access to the transmission grid as well.
And now for me, the theme for today has been around localization. We're out at the Localization Support Fund that was just talking about the role of localization within the transmission and distribution network. As you're working on building your generation, where does that part, the localization and bringing on local manufacturers, stand in your long-term planning?
Yeah, I think it's important from an economic growth perspective and addressing the unemployment of the country. We work in conjunction with the government departments. Eskom has a significant capital expansion program in transmission, as well as distribution and generation, that we still have significant capex to maintain the current infrastructure and strengthen it, especially on the network businesses. And there's definitely opportunities in conjunction with policy that we need to align and create this localization and then reduce the unemployment.
And just finally, that leadership hole that's been left since the resignation of Andre Director, just talk us through where we are in that process of getting a CEO and where your position then lies going forward as the acting CEO currently.
Yes, thanks. So the board is dealing with the appointment of the CEO, and they will communicate once that process is concluded. As I've highlighted that I did not apply for that job. My contract as CFO comes to an end in December. I am in discussions with the board on the CFO contract of myself. Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking to us this afternoon. Of course, that's Calib Cassim, who is the acting CEO at Eskom, just talking us through that briefing and what came out of that briefing of the state of the system, but as well as the summer outlook, just saying that South Africans can be cautiously optimistic that there will be lower stages of load shedding as we get into summer. It's back to you in studio, Stephen.
Ntokozo Khumalo, thank you very much indeed for that live update from Megawatt Park. Well, a comprehensive report there on both the outlook and the situation at Eskom. Who's going to take the job of Eskom CEO? I'll tell you one thing, it won't be me.